Welcome back, guys. Well, today I'm out in the woods just taking a look at the spring woodland and searching for some wild edibles. Stay tuned. One of the things I'm looking for today are fiddleheads, which are the young ostrich fern, and you can tell them by the dark brown spike that comes out of the ground and by the little tiny curled up fronds of the fern that are covered in a brown paper. So if you look down here, I thought I had some and then I was foiled. So let's take a look. So you look down here, you can definitely see there's been ferns and stuff in this area, and there's some right here. But if you take a look, there's no fertile frond sticking up here. That's that classic brown color. And these little tiny curled up ferns, they aren't actually the fiddleheads. They look like fiddleheads, but they don't have that brown papery covering, and I don't see the telltale sign this is actually an ostrich fern. So let's get going on and search for some more. I've just happened upon a patch of wintergreen. As you can see, it's kind of like a leathery type leaf. This one's a bit green on the outside and a bit red underside. And they have a really nice, like a wintergreen taste, a kind of a minty taste if you bite into the leaves. There's also berries as well. I'm not seeing any berries in this patch, but let's just take a look at the plant itself. So it's right down here, these little tiny leaves. They're very smooth, thick. When you bite into them, they have that nice wintergreen taste. So, breath freshener when you're on the trail. Rats, foiled again. You can see here I've got that nice brown fertile frond. And if you look down here, you can see very small little ferns, but look how teeny tiny they are. And really the telltale sign is I do not have an ostrich fern leaf here. This is not an ostrich fern. Ostrich fern literally looks like an ostrich feather. It kind of tapers at the bottom, comes widely out like that, and points to a tip and has lots of little leaflets off of that. So this is not an ostrich fern, so darn. Let's keep looking. However, look over here. I found some turkey tail. This is a medicinal mushroom and it's nice and fresh. Nice fresh flush of it. Look at those beautiful colors. I'm seeing a lot of blues and grays this spring while I'm out foraging. Again, when we flip them over, we can see the little cream-colored or white-colored little teeny tiny pores. This is Tremedi's versicolor. It's an amazing medicinal. Let's harvest some. Important to harvest nice fresh flush like this. You don't want to get the old ones from last year. There we go. There, awesome. Bought my little harvesting bag here. It's basically just a little bag that you would use to put fruit or veggies in. And what I do with this is I dry it out and I make a tea from it. You can also make a dye. You can do lots of cool stuff with turkey tail. All right, I think I found some, but unfortunately they're a little bit too young. If you look down here, you can see them. Here they are, covered in that brown paper, nice, thick, meaty fiddleheads, but they're really tiny. And you can see we do have the ostrich fern fronds are all dried up, but they're right here. So I'm gonna have to come back a little bit later to get these guys. Another big one right here. It's got lots of heads in them. When you're harvesting fiddleheads, you want to be really responsible. I would never harvest more than a third of the little fiddleheads you can see kind of coming up here. You just want to save some to grow again for next year. Yep, there are tons in here. You can see all the little fertile fronds right there. I'm gonna have a good feed when I come back here to pick my fiddleheads. Oh, wait a minute, look here. Just down here, and I found some that are actually ready to harvest. So that's kind of cool. See right here, and here, they're really not ready to harvest, but right here, perfect. So I'm going to grab these two. Just walking along the woods here, and there's some deadfall, and oh, look at that beautiful blue turkey tail. Gosh, it's a good spring for this. I'm going to grab some more of these. Well, they look great on the outside, but when I flip them over, as you'll see, they look a little gungy. So if you look at the underside, they're definitely turkey tail, but they're just looking a little worse for wear. You know, maybe the insects have had at them. A few little areas where they're getting kind of moldy. I think in the interest of just foraging safety, I'm just going to put these back to rot in the forest. I just don't feel comfortable. You know, when you're getting mushrooms, they just look a little tired. You can get sick from, you know, other bacteria and other things and other kind of molds that get on them. So they look great this way, but they just don't look all that fresh to me. So we'll just pop them back and they'll return to the earth. That's a really important safety tip. You know, when in doubt, throw it out. There's always more things to forage and other things to find, but if you eat something that makes you really sick, you're going to regret it, and you won't ever want to forage again if you survive the episode. So let's head on and look for some more stuff. Looking down over here, here's a wild edible fungus, the witch's butter fungus, and it is a jelly fungus, so it's really squishy. It is an edible mushroom. Mainly you can add it for textures to different dishes, but it has to be boiled or steamed. You can't eat it raw. So you can see along this branch here, there's a whole lot of it. This is a dead hardwood, and you'll commonly find them breaking down hardwood trees. Take a look up here. There are vultures circling around me. Don't know if there's a bad sign there, or maybe there's a carcass we should go check out. They're circling around. There's probably something here in the woods. Hey, they're out foraging too. Some of you may have noticed as we're doing this video, all these little things on the ground here that look like little Christmas trees. These are actually club moss, and they look like little evergreens. And I think they're some of the oldest living plants on Earth, actually. I was reading that they've been around for millions of years. And I think these guys take about 20 years to germinate. So it used to be that people would harvest these medicinally and, you know, for greenery for Christmas wreaths and stuff like that. But I don't know if people do so much of that anymore. It's beautiful, though. It covers the ground all over here. Some of you may be wondering a bit about morel season and when that's coming up. Well, for us here, that's a little bit too early. We're going to be harvesting them probably end of May, beginning of June. The ground temperature has to get quite a bit warmer. It has to be about 12 Celsius or 55 Fahrenheit, about 4 inches below the soil surface. So I think it's going to be a great year for morel hunters this year because of all the moisture, but it's still a little bit too cold. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for them, obviously in the coming weeks, and also for dryad saddle. Those are also the consolation prize if you can't find many morels. But honestly, this year, mark my words, it's going to be a good year. I wore my boots today. Everything is really, really wet. Here, nice marsh. Definitely don't have my hip waders to zip around in there, but don't really have a need to go in there. But just heard some cool birds, so I thought I'd listen for a bit. One great thing about this time of year, no bugs. Any other time, probably in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be out here and the black flies will be atrocious. And mosquitoes are going to start coming out a bit more. So I'm going to enjoy my foraging now while the bugs aren't eating me alive. Just want to show you some bunchberry left over from last year. It tends to turn like a brownish reddish color. Probably as a defense mechanism for the winter time, or protective mechanism. And you can see that nice green underneath, but these turn a lovely color of green, and eventually they get some beautiful flowers and some little berries that come up a little bit later in the season. But that's what they look like this time of year. Here's another kind of club moss. I know we talked about a bit about it earlier. This is a different variety. It kind of comes up very straight, and it looks like grass. It's just filling this area of the forest right here. Just beautiful. Witch's butter can also grow on pine trees. So here's a little bit right there. This bark here is indicative of a red pine. And we're in a bit of a mixed pine beech forest right now. But I just want to show you that witch's butter can also be found not only in hardwoods, but on pine. Let's take a look down there. Isn't that beautiful? More fungus in action. Bright red. Stood out like a sore thumb in this woodland here. Everything's really, really brown. I think I'm pretty early and pretty excited at my foraging adventures. There's really not too much out just yet, but forest is definitely waking up. There's definitely lots of signs of life in here. Gosh, I just heard like the sound of like air just cutting like really loud. I almost saw a bird get eaten by a hawk. There's a hawk up in this tree over there. Don't even know if I'm pointed at him. Oh yeah, he's right. There he goes right there. Literally thought someone had shot an arrow. That's what it sounded like, was feathers just cutting through the air. I looked up and I saw a bird just booking it. And sure enough, it was a hawk trying to go get his meal. My heart's just pounding. I just startled me. It totally sounded like an arrow shot over my head. But that goes to show you, you get out in the woods, just go for a walk, do a little foraging. I was just talking about how, the woods are kind of quiet and just waking up, and oh, wow, were they ever. That bird was lucky to get away with its life. I mean, these woods are fairly dense, so it was just kind of swooping in between the trees. Well, it was probably a broad-winged hawk. Those hawks come around here a lot to feed, and wow, I cannot get over the sound of the wind, just like the bird cutting through the air after this, I don't know what it was, a small woodland bird. So, well, that little bird got free for today, but who knows about tomorrow. Very exciting. Aha, if you look really closely, here's another medicinal. This is horsetail. You can see the different segments that it has there. And yeah, there's lots of it kind of in here. I tend to find it where there's a little bit of extra moisture and stuff like that. So very good. Lots of good stuff in the woods today, mainly medicinals that I'm seeing. That's pretty exciting. So I just came across another patch of wintergreen. I just want to show you the berries a little bit more closely because I couldn't show you the one before. But as you can see, it's like a little red berry. They also taste of wintergreen. So there's a decent little patch of it around here. And again, it's very sort of a very thick, sturdy leaf. Wintergreen kind of has a wintergreeny taste and the styrofoamy texture to the berry, so kind of a little bit weird to eat. They do have a medicinal ingredient in them that's like aspirin, so can be a pain reliever on the trail. But like aspirin, too much is not a good thing, so everything in moderation. Definitely a breath freshener on the trail, and very tasty and a unique texture as well. Well, no luck for the ramps today. I'm going to take you to another location right now just to show you what they look like. Down here throughout the forest, you can see lots of little tiny leaves coming out. They look like the leaves of the trout lily. They're going to be coming out anytime now. You can see them all over here, just shooting up. The leaves, the corms, which are the roots, and the flowers are edible of those lilies. So they will just be blanketing this forest in no time. I mean, you can just see everywhere you look, it looks like stubble. They're just everywhere. So give it another couple weeks and we should be good to go with the trout lilies. You might be fooled into thinking this would be a dryad saddle. It's not. This is a polypore. And you can see underneath, it's like a maize polypore. It's got a little maze-like pattern underneath. So that's not a dryad saddle. It's too early for those. Beautiful birds. Can't see them, just hear them in that cloud cover. Right up there, those white fungi, those are birch polypore, or the razor strop fungus. And you can sharpen your knives on those. You can make band-aids out of those in the woods. They are also medicinal. You can make tea, and a tincture. A little bit high up and they're a bit old, so I'm not going to harvest these ones. But there you go, birch polypore. Really important fungus in the woods. Here is some birch polypore up close on another tree, so you can see what it looks like. It's kind of soft, squishy. Normally they're a little squishier when they're fresh in the season, but that's what the birch polypore looks like, or the razor strop fungus. Take a look at this fungus. It's like a kind of a brown jelly fungus on this tree here. Ooh, it's all squishy. Interesting color and texture. But I just want to show you in contrast to the witch's butter, this is sort of like a kind of a brown jelly fungus. I'm not sure the name of it, but it's very fresh. This is similar to the wintergreen we saw earlier. However, this one's called partridge berry. It's kind of like a vine that grows on the ground. You can see these little red berries. They're not poisonous, but they don't taste very good. So I don't advise, eating them. They don't taste awesome, but they are edible. These ones are partridge berry, and they are very similar to wintergreen, but you can see a very small leaf. They are tough, like the wintergreen, but the berry is a little bit different, especially in flavor. Does have that kind of pithy core to it, but doesn't have the wintergreen taste. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I hope you enjoyed our little foray in the woods. Lots more foraging to come. Stay tuned. I hope you guys have a wonderful week.